Senator Joe Manchin has just announced that he is not going to vote for the Build Back Better inflation bill that Biden has put forward for the Senate to a vote. And he announced this on Fox News Sunday, which, of course, already incenses the Democrats. And his actual explanation of why he wasn't going to do this is fairly reasonable, simply saying that it couldn't be justified, that he couldn't justify the amount of spending to his West Virginians constituents. And the Democrats responded with their characteristic calm and grace and reservedness by saying that he was a liar, most particularly Biden himself and Jen Psaki claiming that he was being disingenuous with the negotiations that were going on behind closed doors about this particular spending bill. And that he was going against the interests of his constituents and the American people, which was said by many a person, particularly Bernie Sanders, in the aftermath as well. And I want to examine these claims because the Democrats have been incredibly insistent that this inflation bill will improve the lives of every American and that there will be no detrimental effects at all. In fact, I remember Biden claiming that this bill would have a $0 price tag. And that's an interesting thing because I looked into some of the numbers for this spending bill and I was amazed at some of the things I found. And we have to start from the beginning, and that would be the original inflation bill, which was the original Build Back Better bill, which included both the infrastructure stuff, infrastructure with massive air quotes, of course, and what is now comprising this bill. That original bill was $3.5 trillion in terms of what its price tag was. Of course, Biden was claiming that the price tag would be zero for some reason because it would be paid off through taxes. And we'll get to the veracity of that claim later, but that was the claimed price tag of that particular bill. Later, this got split up into two separate packages, with one being the infrastructure bill, once again in massive air quotes, which was $1.2 trillion, and this bill, which ends up coming out to around $1.9 to $2.1 trillion. I looked into the numbers, and there were some contradictory things about this particular proposal, but suffice it to say it's somewhere in that neighborhood. And in fact, I'll be a bit generous and say it's $1.9 trillion. So you combine the two together, and rather than being the massive $3.5 trillion that the original spending bill was going to be, they shaved off the whole $0.4 trillion and made it a quite small, actually, $3.1 trillion. But beyond all these statistics, you still run into one massive problem, and that is the amount of currency that actually exists. Because you see, they want to spend all of the money, and I am not exaggerating when I say that. When they want to pass this $1.9 trillion spending bill along with the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, they are trying to spend literally every single dollar that is in the American economy and then some. Because, in case you don't know, the Fed actually releases statistics about how much currency there is in supply in America. And I'm surprised these statistics are released because, well, these are the actual inflation numbers, but they have been doing that for a very long time. And you can actually see a graph of the inflation from the time that the currency, national currency as we understand it today, was actually introduced to today. And what you find is that we have, at this point, as of the most recent numbers, $2.1 trillion in currency, period. There is $2.1 trillion in the entire American economy. Now, the Democrats want to pass a $3.1 trillion spending package in total. Do you see the problem with that particular numbers lineup there? You see, they want to literally spend 150% of all of the money in existence. They want to spend $1 trillion more than there is money in the economy. And that is after filing it down from $3.5 trillion. And they would spend more if they were allowed to. And let's be clear, even these estimates of 1.9 or $1.2 trillion or $3.1 trillion, or all of these numbers that I've given you, other than the currency statistics themselves, are all going to be at least somewhat inaccurate, because the government always overspends. If you give them a proposal and have them do a thing with a particular budget, they will spend 150% of that budget and never get any blowback for that. They always overspend. They never have consistent budgets, and so even these proposals is an understatement of what these bills would actually end up costing the American people in the future. So how exactly, Joe Biden, is that supposed to be a cost of zero? Because you literally have to tax every single dollar from every single American who owns anything at all of it, literally down to the last penny, and you still would not have enough money to fund this program. You would still be $1 trillion short. So how is the price zero? Well, the answer is that just isn't. There is nothing that costs nothing, obviously. But in this case particularly, there is no government program that doesn't end up massively inflating the currency. And let's recognize, this is when the inflation rate, which of course is just prices rising based on how that sort of stuff gets reported, is nearing 9% already. We are already nearing that, and they are proposing that we increase the currency supply by 50% over however many years this would take. That on top of whatever other spending packages they're going to try and push through over just the next year. Remember, we're not even a year out from Biden being inaugurated, and we've already seen him trying to increase the currency supply by 50% or more. That's the sort of situation we're in. That's the sort of administration we have. Utter insanity. The economic insanity of this bill cannot be understated. And I guess that explains exactly why Bernie Sanders is pushing for it so hard. After all, he's never seen a bad economic proposal that he hasn't immediately endorsed. And I think that's where I'm going to leave you guys off. If you enjoyed that video, do subscribe down below and check out my other platforms on other websites, whether that be BitChute or Brighteon or Odyssey or Rumble or any of those places. You can check those links down in the description. As well, you can check out my Parler, my Minds, and my Getter page if you want to check out all of those, all the stuff I post there. I'm KelKidman. This has been Breaking on the Daily, and I'm out.